Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on something frankly unsettling and, well, surprisingly common. Online scams involving people who claim to be major celebrities.
Yeah, it's a space where, that genuine connection fans feel with public figures gets exploited, turns admiration into, well, a vulnerability.
Exactly. We've spent time with a stack of material for this deep dive, mostly transcripts from several YouTube videos that have been digging into this very issue.
Yeah.
Our mission, to go through these accounts, understand the very specific tactics scammers use when they're impersonating famous people, hear some direct reports from victims, as shared in this material, and pull out the essential knowledge you need to spot these deceptions, before you get pulled in.
And we're going to uncover some really specific details, like which celebrities are apparently targeted the most, what a supposed voice message from a star actually sounded like to an expert, and just how easily a blue check mark can be bought online now. It's pretty eye-opening stuff.
Okay, let's get into it then. One of the first things that really jumped out from these videos is just how simple the starting point for these scams can be. It's not always some, dark corner of the internet. It could be a message on a social media feed, an interaction on a dating app, really anywhere you engage online.
And what was clear was that these aren't like one-size-fits-all schemes. While celebrity impersonation is our focus today, the sources mention how these online deceptions range pretty widely.
Yeah.
Sometimes even evolving into something like the complex marriage scams described in one story.
Right, where someone is genuinely looking for a partner, thinks they've found this sincere connection, and it's a meticulously crafted lie leading back to a scammer.
And that leads us directly to the specific and frankly alarming trend this deep dive explores. When the person on the other side of the screen is claiming to be someone you recognize, from movies or music, sports.
And here's where it gets really specific and honestly quite disturbing. A major account detailed in the material centers on a woman named Tiffany and someone who convinced her they were Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Tiffany's story, as told in these videos, it began like a lot of fan interactions. She got a message.
Okay.
But this message was supposedly from Arnold himself.
And this wasn't a quick send me money thing, right? What we learned is that the impersonator invested time. They cultivated a relationship with Tiffany, built trust, even made promises of love and a future together. It was pure emotional manipulation. That was the core strategy.
Yes, absolutely. They built that foundation of belief and intimacy. Only after that emotional connection was really established did the crucial request arrive. For money.
Oh, there it is.
The scammer claimed financial difficulties, saying things like frozen bank accounts, and pleaded for her financial help.
Wow. There was even a description in the transcripts of a voice message Tiffany reportedly received. Yeah, the scammer presented it as Arnold's voice. And the content described was, powerful. Expressions of love and gratitude, emphasizing his dependence on her help during this supposed hardship, promising repayment and a shared future. It's a chilling script they use.
What's fascinating about that voice message, though, is the analysis that was included by an expert in the sources.
Okay, what do they say?
They noted that while the voice might have sounded maybe somewhat plausible in terms of general tone to someone unfamiliar, the situation, or Arnold Schwarzenegger having frozen accounts and needing money from a fan, that sounded utterly bizarre.
Right. Totally unbelievable.
And critically, the expert pointed out that the distinct Austrian accent was missing. Completely gone.
Such a key detail. That contrast between a seemingly convincing voice sound and a completely unbelievable story, that's a massive red flag when you actually stop and think,
Absolutely. And speaking of putting pieces together, one consistent point across the sources is which celebrity is reportedly targeted by impersonators most often.
Okay, who is it?
Keanu Reeves. These accounts highlight him as the celebrity figure impersonated more than any other in these online scams.
Wow. Keanu Reeves. Okay. And one specific incident mentioned involved an attempt to scam someone named Lucy, where the scammer, claiming to be Keanu, outright demanded $3,000 just for a meeting.
Yeah, $3,000. And this brings up the essential question.
Okay.
How can you verify if someone online is actually a celebrity? And here the sources offer a critical, repeated piece of advice. They strongly emphasize that the real Keanu Reeves is reportedly not active on social media or the general internet. He just doesn't communicate online like that.
That had a huge takeaway for anyone online.
Yeah.
Really important. And the information didn't stop there, did it? The videos also claim that John Depp and Brad Pitt are not on internet social networks either.
Right. Reinforcing the message. If you get unsolicited online contact claiming to be these specific celebrities, according to these sources, it is highly, highly likely to be a scam attempt.
So let's look at the wider playbook then. What we learned from these accounts. Beyond just picking a famous name, how do these scammers actually, execute their plans?
Well, several tactics emerged pretty consistently. First, they grab celebrity photos and construct profiles that look, well, convincing at first glance. They put effort into making them seem legitimate on the surface.
Okay.
Then they actively seek out and engage with fans, often quickly moving the conversation into private messages, what was described in one source as private and weird chat rooms.
Isolating the target.
Exactly. Isolates the potential victim away from public view. And they heavily rely on emotional tactics, building trust, faking affection, creating that illusion of a deep personal connection, just like we saw in Tiffany's case.
Mm-hmm. Building it all up.
And when the time is right, the ask comes. They invent urgent, often elaborate reasons for needing money. Could be claimed financial hardship, needing money for some charity. One example mentions supporting African children's homes or some other fabricated crisis needing immediate funds.
Right, creating that sense of urgency. And here's a particularly alarming detail that came up repeatedly. How they exploit social media verification.
Oh, yeah, the blue checks.
Exactly. It was explicitly stated that getting a blue verification checkmark has become easily accessible on platforms like Twitter, Telegram, Facebook, without proper document verification.
Meaning scammers can literally buy these blue checks,
right,
instantly adding a false sense of authenticity to their fake profiles, making them appear official to unsuspecting users. It's a huge problem.
It really is. And
the core purpose driving all these tactics, according to these videos, it's always the same. Fraudulently demanding money directly from fans online, usually through these untraceable private interactions.
Okay, so given everything we've uncovered from these sources, what are the crucial warnings? The practical recommendations they offer you, the listener, to stay safe?
The advice is remarkably consistent across these different accounts, thankfully. The absolute first rule, vigilance. Just be deeply suspicious of unsolicited contact, especially if the conversation ever moves towards a request for money.
Yeah, don't rush to trust someone online, no matter who they claim to be. Take the time to try and verify their identity. Ask questions if anything feels off. Listen to that gut feeling.
And this is the biggest, brightest red flag highlighted again and again, money requests.
Right.
These sources unequivocally state that real celebrities will never ask fans for money in private. If a celebrity is genuinely fundraising, it happens through official, widely publicized channels. If there is any doubt, you should never send money, period.
And protect your personal information online. Don't share sensitive details like your address, financial details, social security number. Again, a legitimate celebrity or their team would never ask for this in just some casual online interaction.
Stick to official channels. This is key. If you want to connect with a celebrity, only rely on their official websites, social media accounts that are truly verified through official links, not just because you saw a blue check online or official contact info found through reputable means. That danger of easily bought blue checks was a really major point.
Definitely. And if something feels suspicious, or if you think you've been targeted, or worse, become a victim, involve law enforcement.
Yeah, don't hesitate.
The sources mentioned cooperating with police investigations and highlighted cases where police successfully caught scammers, including the one involved in that Arnold scam and others.
Right.
Leading to prison time and, notably, the return of victims' money in some instances. So it can make a difference.
Absolutely. And finally, sharing your story is powerful. Warning others is a vital part of fighting these scams. The sources themselves are part of this effort, mentioning their work with experts in police and even the creation of upcoming films based on these real experiences, specifically designed to educate the public.
That's good to hear. So stepping back a bit, what does all this information from these sources mean for you, the listener, even if you're not expecting a message from, Hollywood?
Well, it really underscores that recognizing these scammer tactics isn't just about avoiding a celebrity impersonator. It's fundamental to general online safety. The core manipulation techniques, building false trust, creating urgency, demanding money in unusual ways, these are used in countless types of online fraud.
It just highlights the absolute necessity of critical thinking in today's digital world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where it's disturbingly easy for people to create convincing fake identities and, elaborate scenarios.
Exactly. What we learned is how easily scammers can steal images, craft believable backstories, and even leverage tools like voice messages, or, as was a key point, just purchase symbols of online legitimacy like verification checks. It really forces you to question the authenticity of many interactions you have online.
Yeah, it does. This deep dive, guided by the information in these videos, has certainly shown how sophisticated these scammers can be. But crucially, the sources provide us with clear strategies to protect ourselves.
That's right.
Vigilance and knowing the key red flags are your absolute best defense, particularly those private money requests and claims of online presence from celebrities who, based on these accounts, simply aren't active online in that way.
Remember the actionable advice derived from this material. Always try to verify who you're talking to, fiercely protect your personal information, only use official channels for connecting with public figures, never, ever send money to strangers online if there's any doubt, and don't hesitate to ask questions or contact law enforcement if something feels wrong.
So here's a final thought to leave you with, drawing on what we've discussed from these sources. Considering how easily scammers can apparently replicate voices or simply buy those verification check marks that signal authenticity, what other aspects of online identity might not be what they seem? And I guess, how deeply does that uncertainty affect our ability to fully trust the people and information we encounter online every single day?